Hi, I'm Tom McDonald. I'm a reader in sustainable materials at the University of Manchester. Welcome to my talk on tackling the sustainability issues in plastics. Every year, the world produces around 400 million tonnes of plastic. This amount is staggering and equivalent to the entire weight of the human population. Even more alarmingly, it is estimated that the equivalent of 2,000 refuse trucks full of plastic are dumped into the world's oceans, rivers, and lakes. This plastic pollution is not only a visual blight, but also a significant environmental and health crisis. However, despite this global problem, while it might seem like an obvious solution to ban plastics, given this environmental impact, the reality is banning plastics is much more complex. In my talk today, I'll talk about why banning plastics is not the solution. My talk will explore the complexities within the topic, covering the problem of plastic pollution, the importance of plastics in modern life, the innovations underway to improve plastic sustainability, and actions we can all take as individuals. Firstly, let's explore the problem. Let's look at the impact of plastics in the environment. Plastic pollution is pervasive, affecting every region of our planet. It's been found on top of our highest mountains and at the bottom of the world's deepest oceans. Our oceans, rivers, and lakes are inundated with plastic waste. This is harming wildlife and disrupting ecosystems. Marine animals often ingest and become entangled in plastic debris, leading to injuries and/or their death. Microplastics, which are tiny pieces of broken down plastics, have been found in various food items, from seafood to table salt. The impacts of these microplastics are not fully understood yet. However, they have the potential to carry harmful chemicals, which when ingested by humans, could accumulate in our bodies and pose health risks. Despite the severity of these issues, plastics play essential roles in our daily lives, making it crucial that we find balanced, sustainable approaches to managing plastic waste. Firstly, let's define plastics. Plastics are a type of polymer, and a polymer is a long-chain molecule. The characteristic property of plastics is that they can be molded, typically through heating, into shapes during processing. Non-plastic polymers include a whole range of materials also made of long-chain molecules. These include materials such as rubbers, resins, and even ingredients that are used in home and personal care products such as shampoo. As such, plastics and polymers play key roles in every aspect of our lives, from the packaging that preserves our food to the medical devices that save our lives. Plastics are indispensable. Imagine a day without plastics. Let's consider two different examples. Smartphones. In smartphones, the plastics are used to manufacture the electronics, the batteries, and polymer adhesives that hold the components together. In terms of healthcare, plastics are there to enable sterility, and they're used to make medical devices such as pacemakers and even bone screws. Our reliance on plastics is testament to their versatility and efficiency. Plastics, like other man-made materials, aren't an evil in themselves, rather the way we as society use, handle, value, and dispose of those materials that causes the negative impacts on the planet. We're now going to focus on the area of plastic packaging. This is because packaging is one of those topics we associate most strongly with plastic pollution. Firstly, we need to recognize why we use packaging. It provides a critical role in food preservation, hygiene, and transportation. It prevents contamination, extends shelf life, and reduces food waste. For example, vacuum-sealed plastic packaging can keep food fresh for weeks longer than traditional methods. This not only ensures food safety, but also significantly reduces the amount of food that gets thrown away. This is really important because food waste has been estimated to represent a staggering 6% of global climate emissions. This is more climate emissions than the entire aviation sector. As such, changes to packaging that increase food waste will be highly detrimental to global climate change targets. Why is plastic commonly used in packaging? Well, plastic is a lightweight and durable material that makes it ideal for transporting goods over long distances. For example, let's consider the mass of a product that is packaging. The lightweight properties of a plastic bottle, for example, combined with the mechanical resistance and toughness, means the bottle can be thin and provides a low mass. On the other hand, if we think about glass, glass is a much more brittle and denser material. The bottle in this case will often weigh more than the product the bottle contains. Therefore, when we think about alternatives to plastic, it's important to consider the feasibility and sustainability of these options. Substituting plastics with materials like aluminium or glass isn't always practical or environmentally friendly. For instance, producing aluminium or glass requires significantly more energy than producing plastic. If we consider aluminium, the climate change emissions associated with aluminium are between 12 and 17 tons of CO2 equivalents per ton of aluminium. While for PET, the plastic used in clear drinks bottles, this value is much lower at about 2.4 tons of CO2 equivalents per ton of plastic. The environmental impact of different packaging options can be compared through a thorough process known as life cycle assessment, which considers all the climate emissions for a product from the extraction of the raw materials during its life and finally to the methods of disposal at the end of life. For packaging, it has been repeatedly shown plastics are the more sustainable material for the vast majority of options. They have the lowest climate change impact. So how do we maintain the benefits of plastics while addressing these sustainability and environmental issues caused by plastic waste? Plastic sustainability has three main approaches. The first one is replacing fossil fuel feedstocks. The second is using plastics in a more circular manner. And the third is using degradation when the plastics do leach into the environment. I'm going to discuss each of these briefly. In terms of replacing fossil fuel feedstocks, the focus is the development of bio-based plastics. Unlike traditional plastics derived from fossil fuels, bio-based plastics are made from renewable materials and resources such as cornstarch or sugarcane. This helps us by avoiding the extraction of more carbon that's currently locked away in fossil fuels and putting it into the atmosphere. However, when considering renewable feedstocks, these materials must not compete with the food production sector and rather should use residual foodstuffs such as agricultural waste as the starting materials. Researchers are continually improving the properties of these bio-based plastics to make them more versatile and applicable to various applications from packaging to agriculture. Researchers are also learning how to efficiently use bio-based waste as a feedstock. The goal here is to create materials that maintain the same benefits of traditional plastics while being derived from environmentally friendly sources. Let's talk about the use of plastics in a more circular way. This has a huge opportunity for reducing environmental impact and is enabled through significant breakthroughs in recycling technologies. At the University of Manchester, we're helping to drive some of these advances. Our research is focused on improving mechanical recycling processes to enhance the quality and usability of recycled plastics. By refining these processes, we're able to enhance recycled properties of plastics and make them as good as the virgin materials they replace. Degradability of plastic should be used as a last resort. This is because the CO2 contained in the plastic upon degradation will be ultimately released into the atmosphere. We should therefore only use degradation when it is not possible to recover the materials and use them in a circular, sustainable way. For example, a good application of degradable plastics are in highly contaminated food packaging, particularly in areas that have poor waste management. Researchers are focused on producing degradable plastics that provide excellent properties, for example, barrier properties, until the time they enter the environment at which they can degrade. Additionally, researchers at the University of Manchester are deepening the understanding of the impact of microplastics and nanoplastics on the environment and human health. By investigating sources, distribution, and effects of microplastics and nanoplastics, we aim to understand their effect on the environment and develop effective mitigation strategies. These innovations and research efforts are crucial steps to maintain a more circular, sustainable future. However, addressing the plastic problem isn't just about technologies we do in universities, it's also about changing our behaviour as individuals and communities. Let's briefly explore what you can do and we can do on a personal level to make a difference. You have likely heard the mantra, reduce, reuse, recycle. This isn't just a catchphrase, it is key to us all being responsible in our use of materials that are produced around us. As individuals, we can take practical steps to reduce our plastic consumption. We can reduce the use of plastic items with minimal pre-planning. For example, one simple but very effective action is to use a refillable water bottle instead of buying bottled water. Studies have shown that by reusing an aluminium bottle instead of buying a daily single plastic bottle, this results in a 90% reduction in climate change emissions. In terms of reuse, the reuse of plastic containers for storage and other purposes rather than discarding them is a great opportunity. These containers can then be used to contain household items, lunches, or storing leftovers. It extends the life of that material and also reduces the need to buy new items. Finally, when there's no options for reducing or reuse, then we need to learn how to recycle efficiently. Proper storing and cleaning of renewables can make a big difference in reducing contamination and improving the quality of recycled plastics. Currently, within the UK, different regions of the country have different recycling requirements. So ensure you follow your local recycling guidelines to maximise the efficiency of the recycling programs. There's a great website called recyclenow.com, which can be really useful for checking what can be recycled in your local area. We should also support and advocate for innovations in sustainable plastics and recycling technologies. This can be done by choosing products from companies that prioritise sustainable practices and use recycled materials. You can also look up targets set by companies and their progress against these targets on plastic packaging sustainability. Your purchasing decisions can drive market demand for greener products, pushing companies to innovate and adopt more sustainable practices. To wrap up, let's summarise the key points we've discussed today. While plastics pose significant environmental challenges, they are critical to modern life. From medical devices that save lives to packaging that preserves food, plastics are truly indispensable. Banning plastics outright isn't the solution. Instead, we need to focus on sustainable innovations that are responsible for driving sensible consumption. I urge you to rethink your relationship with plastics, recognise the value they provide within your life, and take actionable steps to reduce, reuse, and recycle all materials, not just plastics. Support companies that provide transparent information on their route to net zero and political activities that help create policies that enable more responsive consumption. Your choices, actions can drive significant change. Thank you for your attention and commitment to making a difference. Let's focus on a more sustainable approach to plastics to future-proof your planet.